All right, folks, we'll go ahead and get started here. I'd like to call to order Lafayette Township Board of Trustees and Fire District meeting. Today's Monday, March 3rd at 6:30 p.m. Notice requirements of Section 121.22 of Ohio Revised Code and implementing rules adopted by the board pursuant thereto were complied with for the meeting. Roll call.
Rowley here.
O'Neill here.
Fullerton here. Stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Before we get started on the agenda, I was thinking the sign's still dark. Can you give us a little update? I know Kristen had updated the trustees last week on our sign.
Yeah, I was on the phone with several hours going back and forth between Optech and the Brilliant Sign people. Poor chief was out there turning all the breakers and going to the actual sign and switching it all on and off, and with no avail, we couldn't get it to work. So they put in a work order to come and see why it won't turn on.
Which
Because they
one?
said they hadn't lost connection with the sign, which was odd because we turned it totally off. So I don't know if there's some kind of signal within the sign. So they said it shouldn't be, if the whole thing's broken, they said that should be something, like the sign's probably not broke, like nothing hit it, or else just certain lights would be out. So they said it should be an easy fix, but that's the
No
last I heard
follow-up
from them.
after the work order's been made, nothing.
I haven't heard from them. I'll contact them again and follow up.
Okay. Thanks, Kristen. Pending minutes for approval. February 3rd meeting, the one I was absent at. Justin and Chris, you guys read over the minutes?
I have.
Yep.
Anything to add, discuss?
I just had one spelling correction when we discussed the corner of Ryan and Harger. But Kristen's made that, so that's the only thing I had on the 3rd.
I have nothing else.
Okay, motion to approve February 3rd.
I'll move to approve.
I'll second.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
And I was absent. All right, February 19th was a special meeting. You guys had a chance to look at those minutes?
I did.
Any questions, concerns on them?
Not for me.
Okay, motion to approve February 19th.
I'll move to approve the February 19th minutes.
I'll second.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. February 19th is approved as well. Consent agenda. Everyone's got all their department reports.
Yes.
Questions, concerns? I know roads came in late. Yeah, I read it.
Yeah, I apologize for that. I thought it
Yeah.
went out to everybody, but it just came to me.
Yeah, okay. Questions, concerns, anything on any of the reports?
I don't have any.
Okay, motion to approve consent.
Actually, I did have one on the fiscal report, the revenue status report. I don't know if you guys got a chance to look over that. It looks like it's probably just a typo, but for the bond fund, final budget for revenue for this year, it's entered into the system at $1,040,786. And I'm guessing that's just a typo, because that's plus carryover. We're not getting $1 million from the fund.
Correct, but that includes the carryover.
Right, but the revenue status report should just show the revenue we're expecting to get this year.
Yeah, I'll look into that.
Okay, well,
You want to leave that one out?
yeah, I can't, I mean.
Yes, no, that's fine.
It's clearly just a basic typo, but it's $614,000 off.
Right.
I can't
Yeah,
approve it
all
as
right.
is.
Well, let's exclude the fiscal then, for clarity.
Well, that would just be for the fire district, correct?
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
for fire.
township ones look fine.
Okay, that's fair enough.
All right, consent, motion to approve the consent agenda other than the fire fiscal.
I'll move to approve all but fiscal fire.
Yep.
I'll second.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries, and we'll get some clarity on that. Okay. All right, fiscal, Laura.
The only other thing I had was the notes on the permanent appropriations that I sent out to you guys.
Yes. You want to do township first?
Do you guys have any questions or?
Well, I'll read it. You're suggesting to add to permanent appropriations the motor vehicle license and the opioid funds in the equal amount that's on the amended certificate, which is $34,064 and $10,159. You're saying it was not on the permanent appropriations that was approved.
Correct.
And that total to add to the permanent appropriations would be $44,223.86.
Yes.
Any discussion on that?
I've got no problem doing it. I mean, I don't know if you have a,
Well, I mean, it goes back to, well, when we sat down and did appropriations, we kind of went line by line through what we thought we were gonna spend.
yeah.
right.
Since we've already accounted for all of what we expect to spend, I don't know why we would appropriate, just leave it unappropriated if we need it for something later on, but we don't have anything specific to earmark the $44,000 for, so I would leave it just unappropriated and just know we've got it in reserve if we
Right.
need it.
Okay,
Yeah, I'm okay with that for now. We can always appropriate it later.
okay. And then her other comment on the, for the OPERS, for the employer outreach regarding Sherry and Kristen's, we need to increase the appropriations on those particular line items for $9,660.
Is that the back amount, Laura?
No, that's for this year. I don't know what the back amount is yet.
So that's just projected for what we're gonna be.
Yeah.
I've got no problem doing that either. I mean, we'll,
No, we need to do that though, because Laura needs that for processing
Right.
payroll now.
right. I will make the motion to appropriate an additional $96.60 for the OPERS.
I will second.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. So, I don't have the total dollar amount, Laura, for the total permanent appropriation, but we would just add the $96.60
Right.
to it.
Okay.
Okay, that was township. And then she caught a couple things on fire. Yeah. Okay, so Laura, help explain this, supplement and appropriate out of the fire district general fund, $605,546 and 71 cents to the Star Ohio bond account that we've already talked about the other month.
Right, so that money's there, the account's been set up, and the money is in that account, but we need to move it in UAN from the one account to the other.
I'm okay with moving. I don't know that it needs to be appropriated. We're not spending it, right? We're just
Right.
moving it to a different,
I think she was saying it was a UAN computer
right?
thing.
But what action do you need from the board to be able to transfer? Because ultimately, it's just transferring money between accounts. We've already.
We approved that in previous meetings.
Right.
Yeah.
and- I mean, unless you're talking about the interest, because I know, that's what we had talked about was we had originally had 38,547.69 in interest that accrued on the general fund, the fire district general fund Star Ohio account. So we, as a board, approved transferring or crediting 30,356.31 of that to the bond fund to get to that number of the 605, 546.71, but we already fully appropriated everything that we need to spend out of the bond fund to cover principal and interest for this year. So I guess I'm not following up with Chris. I'm not sure.
Okay.
What the
I
additional-
have a call into UAN to see if I can just do an interfund transfer from the
Okay.
system, so we can table that. Just so you know, the money is in Star Ohio and
Yep,
Right.
yep,
good to go.
yep, okay. All
While
right.
we're
No, go
on
ahead.
that though, real quick, if I could, just, we had obviously discussed that at the the January 13th meeting, was it the 13th? Anyway,
I don't remember.
the middle January meeting, to take care of all the interest from 2024. Between some paperwork issues and transferring the money, we didn't get that transferred into a dedicated account until just Friday, right? The 28th, I think, is when it was credited. So we carried about $7,588.74 in interest for January and February, that I think we should do the same split and then be finally clean. So I'd like to make a motion to move $4,424.99 from the general fire fund to the bond fund in Star Ohio, as interest for January and February. And then
Right.
that should make it clean. The accounts
Up
should
to
do
date,
that.
right, through.
That's
through
through the
end of
20th,
February.
through the end of January.
Yeah,
So
I'm in
it'll be
agreement
a
with
day or
that.
two
What's
off.
the exact amount?
$4,424.99.
Yep.
You motioned.
Yeah, I would make the motion to do
I'll
that.
second.
Okay, all those in favor, aye?
Aye?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. So we're gonna add that to the 605.
Yep, and then that should bring, with that and the current balance of the Star Ohio, or of the bond fund in total, we should get that fully invested in Star Ohio.
Right.
Because the bond fund, we only have to withdraw money twice a year, so we should keep that fully invested in Star Ohio, in my opinion.
No, I agree.
But Laura can do that under her own, she doesn't need a motion from us to do that.
Yep,
All right.
okay, that's good. All right, the second thing was the permanent appropriations was missing the Marks grant. I think she's saying the 2191 fund, 13,200. So we would need to add that, obviously on the fire department side. Marks grant. That Marks grant money is just used for the Marks
Just
radios
radios.
stuff.
And that's precisely what it's designed for, so we
Right.
should appropriate that.
Correct.
Right, so we'll need to add that in there. Motion,
I'll move to appropriate 13,200 for the 2191 Marks grant.
I'll second.
all those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. So then Laura, we would take both of those numbers, add them up. For permanent, okay. Anything else on permanent, Laura?
No.
Okay.
Real quick,
Oh,
Ty, before we
yeah.
move off of Laura's emails, she did have two other bullet points on the township report. The first one I'd like to discuss is just the, any consideration for moving the meeting to the second Monday of the month. I don't know what your guys' thoughts are, especially for these meetings that are in the first couple of days of the month. It's somewhat challenging, especially
First business day of the month.
yeah, for Laura to be able to process the financials and then get them to us in a timely fashion. Not criticizing in the least, but,
Right.
by the time she gets those processed from the banks and we get them on a Sunday, depending on what else is going on, to be able to pour through them and be able to make decisions, or, use month-old numbers. Just wanted to see what I'm in agreement with Laura on possibly looking at.
So am I, because the
pushing some of these
chief
back to
ends
the
up, and then
second.
lieutenant,
Yeah.
same thing, right?
It's the Chippewa Lake meeting though. so
Is the
that's
second
the
Monday?
Second Monday, so.
Well, you're just gonna have to clone yourself.
No.
Wow.
for one of you.
The second one doesn't get paid.
So June would be an issue. August.
But we're good for April?
Yeah.
April's not gonna be till
Like
All right, so
June,
maybe just
August,
something to think about.
November-ish. But yeah,
Discuss
no,
that
I agree.
Next meeting. and-
Yeah, we don't need to make a decision now, but just something to think about. And then, Laura, what, I don't need to put you on the spot here, but, well, actually, yeah, I do. You mentioned having some frustrations with Westfield.
Yeah.
Anything that, you know, that we can do, like, to help make it, like, easier? Is there a benefit? Should we revisit the setup?
I wouldn't be opposed to revisiting the setup, but our app that we work with is just not responsive at all. So I copy you guys, and he's like, oh. And I'm like, all right, well,
Just the fee, because we were copied on the
Right.
fees that were,
yeah. But that's been going on for 3 months now.
Have they all been reversed, though, the last you
I can't
checked?
get online and look.
No.
And that was the other part of the email I said, and why do I have to sign up for e-statements? I want to be able to like get both paper and e-statements. I want to be able to log into the account online and look. So,
no, that's good to know, because I'll call them, get them on.
Okay, you're gonna,
Yeah,
Take lead on that one,
Yeah,
too?
because
Okay.
she needs to be able to do
Yeah.
her, yeah, I mean, it
Yeah.
doesn't make any sense. Okay, yeah.
okay, that's,
I'll definitely take care of that, or at least get it going, and I'll report back to you guys what I found out. The other subject that came under, I don't know if you wanna talk about it now, but I guess Laura needs paperwork signed. Do we wanna talk about the sheriff dispatch fee today? I know it came in today, so it's a little on the late side, but it's up to you guys if you wanna discuss it, or we can wait another month. I just threw it on the agenda right in Laura's stack. Totally-
really not a whole
totally
lot
up
to
you
discuss,
guys.
though, really, is there?
No, I mean, discuss it, motion, it, whatever, but, I mean, just because it came in late. is
Yeah,
all.
we've got the sign from the sheriff, and I would make the motion to approve it.
Yeah, we appropriated money for it.
Right.
How was it compared to what we appropriated?
It is less.
Because I know we were kind of ballparking what we thought the increase would be.
A little conservative, I think, so.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
It came in under what we appropriated?
Yes, yeah, because we appropriated 35, and it's 33,297.
Okay, I'll second.
All those in favor? Aye?
I,
Aye.
Aye, and that's to approve the dispatching fees for the county sheriff. We do need to sign those copies, so Laura can get it back.
You got a clean copy there.
You want that, because I know you gotta leave early.
there's 2 copies. We're asking for them.
Three. Got it? All right, Laura, that's good for you. Okay. All right, service. Kristen.
Justin, do you want to talk about 162 and Ryan first, or?
well, you can, go ahead.
Okay, you guys got did you see the salt?
Oh, from Cargill, yeah.
So it's been a pretty rough winter this year on salt so far. I think we agreed last year to purchase 450 tons at right around $48 a ton. We ended up getting 517,000 at this rate, and it was tight throughout the last 6 weeks or so getting salt delivered. I think Cargill's caught up, and we're not quite out of the woods yet, so Rick's looking to get another 350 tons, except the price now is going to be $58 a ton,
What did we pay before?
right around 48. I don't remember if it's just above or just below that. So they'll come out in a couple months with a 2025 rate. I don't know how it will compare to this.
What do we have in the bins now? Do we-
About 100.
About 100?
Yeah.
And what did we start the year with?
I don't know exactly what we had in there to start, but we had 450 that we ended up getting, that we approved.
Right.
I
And
got
we
517.
and we received all of that?
Yeah, yeah, and then some.
Okay.
So it's a gamble if we don't.
Yeah,
if we're
we
not
don't wanna do
prepared for
that.
more.
Do we have to take 350, or where'd that come from?
No,
Just
that was
his-
just
That was just
Rick's.
his thoughts?
Right, and that's what he was, this was 2 weeks ago too, when he was asking about it, when these guys were out just about every night salting.
Yeah.
And it's not always the snow, there's been a lot of ice, a lot of freezing rain.
Yeah. Well, the back and forth probably doesn't make it easier
Nope.
too, but I think I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, Ty, but I'm guessing you're trying to figure out if we can get by with less than.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I can't imagine that they're doing us any favors with pricing right now, given the situation. So, if we can get by with less, I would say let's do that and then stock up when it's a bit cheaper.
Right.
But
It may or may not be cheaper, I mean, we'd like to think it would. I think they probably incurred a lot of costs the last couple months that they didn't anticipate incurring, because
they're also not the only game in town, too.
there's not a whole lot
Well,
of salt
true.
suppliers. But I mean, if we want to.
What's your thought, tonnage? What are you feeling?
Well, it's definitely not my area of expertise. So, I mean, Rick's gonna have a better idea of what he needs, and I'm okay with, if he thinks we need 350 to be safe, because the last thing, it's not worth saving a few dollars if we don't have any to put on the
Right.
roads when we need to. So,
Correct.
And what we don't use, I mean, we'll have in the bin for starting
okay.
next year.
What does the bin hold? What's the max capacity on that?
It's 800 maybe, more or less. Don't quote me.
All right. If there's
I mean,
no other discussion, are you still talking? with
On the
them?
other hand, it's, these terms and conditions say it's good until April 30th. They'll honor this price. So if we want to go for less than 350 now, and kind of splitting hairs at that point, but.
You want to make the motion, Chris?
I'll make the motion to approve 350 tons at $58 a ton.
And we're for sure going to get it by the end of April.
I gotta hope so.
All right, second.
You seconding or asking for a second?
Asking for a second, sorry.
Oh, I'll second.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. 350 ton. And looks like you got to email that right away.
Yeah. I'll get this to Rick.
Okay, what else you got for service?
I don't have anything else for service.
I did have one, just because I figured that's probably where it fits the most. We did get word, last year we had talked a lot about the 162 Ryan Road intersection, and wanting to try to see if ODOT would do something. We had them come out, they did the traffic study. They gave their initial recommendation, and if anybody wants a copy of that report, I still have it available, so I can forward it to anybody that wants it. But the original report that was written, they talked about all-way stop control, and I'll read from it real quickly, just briefly here. It's, while this intersection does meet the all-way stop control volume warrants, all-way stop control is used when the traffic volumes on all approaches are more or less equal. At this intersection, the traffic volumes on State Route 162 are more than 2 times greater than the volumes on Ryan Road, making this intersection not an ideal candidate for all-way stop control. based on the 4/18/2024 turning movement count performed for this study. State Route 162 equals 5,120 vehicles, and Ryan Road 2,124 vehicles. The reason that's important is because the report, because of that request or requirement that there be balance of traffic for a four-way stop or any type of four-way control, the initial recommendation was for a roundabout, which obviously, you know, significantly more planning, design, cost goes into that than putting up stop signs. I talked to, I'd heard, you know, last week that it sounded like the county, because I know the county, Aaron Harrison, and Andy Conrad both had been trying to kind of work with ODOT to see what we could do at that intersection as well. I talked to Julie Chichella this morning, and last July, the Federal Department of Transportation put out new guidelines which removed that balance of traffic requirement for their recommendations on all-way controls. So this spring, ODOT had gone through the process of revisiting a bunch of the traffic studies that they had done for intersections just like that, which is why they're now going to put a four-way stop in there. That doesn't mean that it won't at some point be reviewed for a roundabout. But again, like we talked about, that would be years off anyway, and this will be done by the end of the month. They normally put additional signage in the on the berms on the side of the road to let people know that the traffic signals are going to be coming. Because of the limited space, they had to order some special signs, which is why they're not up now. Julie thought they'd have them by the end of the week. So we should start seeing those signage, letting the traffic on 162 know that there will be a four-way stop. So probably by middle of this month, definitely by the end of the month, it'll be a four-way stop. Nothing else at the intersection is changing, so you still will have the left turn lane off of Ryan Road. But it will be a four-way stop with flags, and they'll have tons of
Flashing
additional. They're gonna have, it'll be flashing style like they have down here at Lake, but they'll have additional flat, like they go all out to like let people know that it's a new setup. So those will stay on for probably about a month, she said. But that's why the recommendation, not really recommendation, but that's why it's gonna be a four-way stop now when we were originally told it probably wasn't gonna happen, so.
Gotcha.
But good news, because I think people were ready to see something done there.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
Anything else for service?
I don't think so.
Nothing else?
Good.
Okay. Fire.
I think we should move all that stuff down to.
Yeah, those all go down to zoning.
Yeah.
You're up, chief.
It's his show, but yeah, go for it.
Good evening. We had 48 calls in the month of February. 36 were daytime, 12 were at night. We gave mutual aid to Chatham once, City of Medina twice, Guilford Township once, Harrisville Township once, Lafayette Township 28 times we had calls. Village of Chippewa Lake had 12, Florida Glens had 2, and we gave mutual aid to Westfield 1 time. 73% were EMS calls. The average turnout time is 1 minute and 59 seconds. Year to date is 1 minute and 58. So, in about 6 minutes and 3 seconds to get on scene. So that's good numbers still. So, my monthly, here it is on my phone. I forgot that last page. Pancake breakfast season is here. So, we'll start our pancake breakfast April 6th, 13th, and 27th this year. Chatham's pancake breakfast will be Saturdays and Sundays in March. And Valley City's pancake breakfast will be March 9th. So, good pancakes all around. So, we received $4,567.90 from the State Fire Marshal's Training Reimbursement Grant. We completed our Marks radio authentication and updates. These are mandatory updates that are required before June of this year. Medic 1 was serviced at General Maintenance for rear brake seizing, rear calipers and brakes replaced. It's currently getting PM'd at Fallsway. That's EV technicians going over that. That's our newest old ambulance, so we gotta get that thing maintain that thing for many years to come. So renewed our drug license, this is a 3-year cycle. We serviced our Genesis hydraulic tools, we serviced our air compressor, we serviced our extractors, washers, they're just big washers for our turnout gear. 7 of our firefighters are doing well in paramedic school, 2 will graduate in August and 5 will graduate in December. Lieutenant Bosch completed his fire instructor course and fire officer 1 and 2 course. And congratulations to Captain Muha on his full-time appointment with Brunswick City Fire Department. He will continue to serve here at Lafayette as well. So, I'd like the board to approve or consider the resignation of Will Gross. He was hired full-time with the VA. He lives in Parma. His hours have been very limited for the past 6 to 8 months. And I'd like the board to consider the approval of hiring Justin Rosenball and Rob Haas. Both are very experienced firefighters. Justin's the chief of Highland Heights and an avid fire instructor. Rob's the former chief and a lieutenant full-time with Shaker Fire Department. He holds certifications in technical rescue in multiple disciplines. Both of them will be valuable resources for all of us, including myself. So that's all I have. And one last thing, it is open burning season. It's not open burning season, I mean. It's, don't burn. If you have any questions about that, come see me, but, open burning is, in unincorporated areas, which is the township, that you cannot burn till 6 PM. It's gotta be natural vegetation, like a recreational type of fire. You can't burn a bunch of debris and things like that. So, if you have any questions, please contact the fire station and we will, guide you in that process. So after 6 PM is the only time you can burn, and just please let us know if you are going to, it's a dry time, and this is when the brush fires begin, so that's all I have.
I have a question. When,
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, ma'am.
me first?
I'm
Oh.
fine with that, you.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Go ahead.
You guys can hear me.
The other morning I woke up and you guys had a call. I live in the Euclid area, and you guys were parked in my driveway. Hence, all the neighbors thought it was me.
Oh,
And they came running over like, what's wrong with you now? So the question is, can the residents want to know is, from now on, will you guys be crossing over both of the bridges?
we do cross over, that bridge has been redone, so yes,
But
we
yeah,
can cross
but-
over that bridge.
There's two of them, the redone bridge and the one that is on Lakeview. So when you go down Euclid to get to my house,
Mhm.
you have to turn left and go over that secondary bridge.
Okay.
Okay, so they wanna know if you guys are planning on servicing us by driving over the bridge.
With fire trucks, correct me if I'm wrong, we were not gonna go over those bridges. We're gonna go through the back of yards essentially, if
Okay.
there's a fire.
And-
With ambulances, it's discretionary, but depending on the type of call, we're gonna probably go over that first bridge for sure. The second bridge, I'm trying to think of where it's at exactly.
Yeah, you go over it, as you're going down Euclid, you either have to turn left, or if you turn right, you go into the Oaks.
Right, okay.
I mean, the
yeah.
yacht club.
Yep, I know where
If
you're
you
going.
go left, there's another little bridge over the creek, which is the same creek that
The
they
other
built
bridges,
in, yeah.
Yeah, as squads, we can probably go over, we'll go over that.
Yeah, 'cause that's
without-
what-
Right,
yeah.
with the engines not.
We understand that,
Yep.
yeah, but we were really happy to see that ambulance on the
Yeah.
other side of the bridge.
Right, yeah, the bridge has been redone.
And then I had a second question, and it is in regard to the pancake breakfasts.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and they wanted to know, we were talking about it, and last year, I remember discussing, to the point where the fire department did not get any proceeds from the last pancakes breakfast. Is that true?
No, that's not true at all.
Okay, can you explain it to me?
We bought a lot of equipment with that,
Can you,
that
do you have a
pancake
dollar?
breakfast. I have lists of things, I have an
I don't-
entire
I
list
just
of
wondered what the
equipment we
contribu-
bought, probably over $100,000 over the course of the last year in donations and. So it's association funds or it's donations, so there's donation pot of money and there's association money that's raised through the pancake breakfast. So those funds, last year's pancake breakfast, probably what we had, so meters, gas meters were purchased by the association. Tools and equipment, hand tools, power tools and equipment were purchased by the association. Vacuum mattresses, first year in the station purchased with association. I have an entire list. I have all the invoices in one file in my office that I can
Okay,
go through the whole thing.
we were looking for like a dollar amount of the
Well, you-
proceeds from that one.
Why don't you just email her, what, I mean, because
Yeah,
you
mean-
can't recall off the top of your head.
Right.
I know you got
didn't
it.
know
right,
Laura
I
would
got
know. Could
No,
help.
Laura doesn't have that
No.
information. It would be through
That's
the
association.
association. We have all that information, so I could add all those invoices up and send them to you.
All right,
Yeah.
well, we were just curious, because the last time we talked about it, there was no determination made on.
No, we purchased, the association is a huge supporter of the fire department, and we could not function, even with a levy, there is things that we just can't go out and buy. Most of our money, or most of our proceeds or revenue from the budget goes to staffing.
Okay.
The rest of that stuff is from the donations of the community, and the association events are like vital to that process.
Chief, I got a couple things on the report.
Yes, sir.
Your training that you started with your night trainings, do you have a set schedule now, or you just
Yeah, we're
kinda
doing
starting?
Wednesdays again, 6 to 9 PM typically.
Every
So-
Wednesday or one
No,
Wednesday a month?
1 to 2 Wednesdays a month, depending on the availability of people, so. We're gonna send it out as a reminder, and then, get as many people as we can. All the new hires are going through like an orientation training that same night, so it's also a review for our firefighters.
All right, good. And then while you're still up there, I would make the motion to accept Will Gross's resignation.
I'll second.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. All right, good luck to him, full-time at the VA, that's
Yeah, he's
pretty
doing
cool.
good.
Good.
And then also, we'll put them together, I would make the motion to approve hiring Justin Grossenbach and Rob Haas to the department.
I'll second.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. They're hired. Anything else you need us to do, chief?
Well, I appreciate it, thank you.
All right.
I got one thing I want to do under fire,
Yes,
but you
sir.
don't have to stay
Yeah.
up there for it if you
Oh,
don't want to, because
okay.
it's fire adjacent.
Sure.
Well, we've been talking about it for a while. It's been brought up at a couple different meetings about expanding water and then also potentially hydrant service within the township. So I've been working with the county water department to figure out exactly what we would need to do. And in looking at expanding the lines, it came up that Deerview actually has a 12-inch main with no
Yes.
hydrants.
Yes.
So the first piece is, Deerview is about 7,000 feet. Depending on who you talk to and how it would impact ISO ratings, the recommendations vary from anywhere from 350 to 900 feet, spacing on those. So the question, I guess, is, one, what's your take on, how big of an impact would it have potentially for the township on ISO ratings, at least in your professional opinion? I know you can't say for sure.
Right.
And then two, what kind of frequency in an area would you need to have? Obviously, the more you have, the bigger impact you're gonna have, but at what point does it become overkill? And the reason I ask, and then I'll let you answer, is, from the county, not hard figures, but just a rough estimate, it's about $8,200 per hydrant. To put some more firm numbers on that, if you go every 350 feet, that would be 20 hydrants at a cost of about $165,000. If you go all the way out to every 900 feet, that'd be 8 hydrants down Deerview, $65,800 roughly. Just wanted to get your thoughts, and if that's something that's worth us pursuing potentially as a benefit for the township.
I mean, for me, the more hydrants is going to reduce our ISO, the water that water rating on ISO or your water availability will reduce that number. It won't ever be perfect in the township because if we did the whole township, we could bring our ISO rating down from a 4 to a 3 maybe, but just that one section it might improve our numbers just a little bit. It may not make a difference in the numbers like currently, but it's one street. We have
Sure.
multiple areas in the township that still doesn't have hydrants, but I would recommend that we do, and I know it's a cost, but to the taxpayers, but I'd recommend we do that closest available hydrants are important because
Okay.
the street, not just the hydrants, the houses on Deerview are also back a ways.
Yep.
So you put a hydrant out on the, it'd be on your east side of Deerview,
West side.
West side of Deerview. Your hydrants are on the west side of Deerview on the water line. We also have that railroad track, so who knows where how they go through that section, but if you're coming across the street to the houses on the east side of Deerview, you're still going 200-300 feet to those houses for water lines, so if we had a fire there, so. We almost had a fire on Deerview this past, about 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
So. And again, we rely on tanker shuttles for that type of situation. I'm still confused on the whole situation with Deerview is why they didn't put hydrants in when it was when they put a water line in. That's my biggest question.
Chad addressed that. It is unknown as to why fire hydrants were never installed along the 12-inch water main in 1986.
Right.
MCSE
It
has
makes
no
sense.
future plans to install fire hydrants along Deerview Lane. If this is something the township wants to invest in, MCSE would be happy to discuss further.
Right.
So that was their take on that piece of it. So, I know we had talked about it a bunch,
Yeah.
and since that would be a much easier project to accomplish, because you're not looking at a water main project,
Mhm.
and
I would take any hydrant on Deerview. I would say if we had 4 hydrants on Deerview, that's better than 0 hydrants on Deerview. So yeah,
something
I
for
mean,
us to look at as we do budget
Yeah.
going forward too.
Right,
Mhm.
because I think it's so vitally important to have a hydrant available. And we have good water in this area. The hydrants are 100 PSI hydrants. They're good hydrants. I mean, my development, you have to have a reducer in your house to slow the pressure down before you
And
burst
that particular line has high pressure as
Right,
well, that
right.
could, like, higher than average ratings is
Right.
what Chad was saying when I was talking with him, so. I got a little more, but you don't have to say it because it's more of the rest of it, but, Ballas Road. So on Ballas Road, I brought that one up specifically since that's the one you had come in and talked to, and there are, again, if anybody wants, I can forward it to them, but I did get a map of all of the water mains in the county, or in the township, that the county runs. There are 1,837 parcels with billing account with water, so obviously it's not something that everybody has, and even, some of the rural properties that have access to it have opted not to. But the answer on the Ballas Road water main was that the Medina County sanitary engineers have no future plans to extend water down Ballas Road. The property owners may submit a petition for review. If there is enough interest, MCSE would send out additional forms to be completed. If the petition is approved by MCSE, the water main would be an assessed project, meaning that the project would be assessed to the property owner's taxes, and if the property owners were to sell, the assessed project stays with the property. The property owners would then also be responsible for paying all associated water connection fees based on the current fee schedule and charge schedule that's available online. So basically what it worked out to is I just had them put together just some general rough costs, and things that we could do to kind of help potentially facilitate. It's roughly $225 per linear foot. So just using the average lot size over there, 175 foot of frontage, a homeowner is looking at roughly $40,000 for a water project. The way that it works is any proposed line that we would petition for going this route would be, you would need 51% of the homeowners or property owners on the route to approve, and then it gets assessed against everybody. So this is one of those situations where, you know, somebody that didn't want it would ultimately potentially wind up paying the bill if they had to. But just looking at kind of the general loops, where you would tie in, if we ran a line down, or if we helped facilitate the running of a line down Ballish to connect in, it would be the intersection from Ballish and 162. Probably it would either have to go up Chippewa to Friendsville or come down Chippewa. The line, you'd have to come across, like pretty much to where the village starts. But you're looking at roughly 16,500 feet of line that would have to be run for that loop. That project would run in the neighborhood of $3.8 to $4 million. And again, that winds up getting assessed against the property owners. I know, you know, Mr. Stewart, when we talked about it too, there are options, you know, the township can look at, you know, trying to expand water lines throughout the township. There are a lot of other areas that would need it as well. It can be something that's done as a tax levy. You know, not advocating one way or another, but just exploring all the options, you know, that the residents asked for. But that's the type of, you know, cost, unfortunately, that's associated with expanding those lines. And right now, the county has no plans on doing any more expansion here. That doesn't mean it doesn't change at some
Right.
point, or, you know, a developer doesn't come in and pull water to do something. But, I mean, that's kind of getting in the weeds. But I wanted to at least get the numbers together. You know, we talked about, absolutely.
If I understand you right, you're saying that in order to get that done, it's all of the costs are assessed to the property owner?
If they do it as an assessed project, if it's not a project that's run, the county can absolutely expand their water lines whenever they want to, whenever the funding is sufficient, whenever there's enough population to serve. They don't have any plans to do that right now. That doesn't mean that that's not an avenue that we can try to approach the county and push for that, but really all we can do is advocate, you know, along with the residents on trying to get the county to foot the bill for that. The option is always to have the property owners themselves, you know, petition to have it done. But yes, it then becomes an assessed project if it's approved that route, and it does get assessed to your tax bill. It's either a 10 or a 15 year, I'm not sure exactly which it is, or if you have the option. It isn't something that you're expected to pay, you know, up front, but it is a bill that winds up getting assessed to the property owners, and typically they do it based off of the frontage. So it's allocated based off of, they put in, you know, like in this example, 16,500 square feet or linear feet. The property owners are billed by how much frontage they have. And the downside to that is, like I said, if they get a sufficient number of support to do it, even if you didn't want it, you're getting taxed for it. So,
Yeah, I always thought that you were only assessed the tap-in fee and the materials included to that.
No, that's
if
on
it's
top.
Well, the tap-in fee would be on top if it's an assessed project. If it's one where the county actually says, hey, we're gonna expand the water line because it's what we wanna do, you know, they're connecting a line, they're serving certain residents, you know, then they expand it at their own bill, and then that gets paid for through county tax revenues. You know, this is just one where it's like, look, if you want it, you can have it, but, you know, we either have to foot the bill through, you know, the property owners themselves who are directly served, either have to pay for it, or we as a township have to put the tax bill on all of the residents to pay for it.
How does the county decide when they're gonna run, they just pick one out of the sky and say, hey, we're gonna do this street?
That's a question above my pay grade.
I don't
But-
think they'll
but-
do it unless it's economically
Right.
feasible for them.
It goes to the number of residents that they're gonna serve with it, right? If they're gonna run a line, you know, down 5 miles and serve 40 homes versus 4,000 homes, you know, it really just comes down to that. So it goes back to the same debate that we've always had, right? Like, when you bring in the extra services, you wind up inviting in the extra rooftops. And how do you balance that? So,
I got a question.
yeah.
Is there any way we can, I know a lot of times, I don't know what goes on in Nevada County because I don't get to work out here. A lot of times in other places, it gets farmed out to a different construction company. Like the county's not doing it. They're sending, you know, a bigger construction company out to do it. Is there any way we can get like one of these bigger, like Terrace, for example, and Cleveland does a lot of their, they get a water main break, they're the guys who come out at 10 o'clock at night and clean it up. Is there a way we can get another company to come in here and say, give us a discount? Well, my question is, why can't you ask them that? Because to want to run a water line to tap in to that tap that's 25 feet from the front of my house, $17,000, that's a half a day of work for me. I mean, 20 minutes somebody in the hole connecting it, and a half a day of digging, that's including backfill. That's ridiculous for $17,000. I can rent the machine and do it for less than that.
I'm not disagreeing with you, I'm just saying it's the
I
county's
mean,
water
I
line,
just don't understand
so.
why we can't get somebody to come out and at least give us an estimate that's reasonable.
I think the county would still have to maintain it though. It'd still be they're gonna be the ones supplying the water and they're responsible for it.
It's their system, so, you
In
know.
fact, they may hire a
Yeah.
contractor anyway. It would
Yeah,
still
well,
hire
that's what I'm
them.
saying, is that's what they're gonna do, cut out the middleman.
Thanks, chief.
Yeah.
Go sit down, I'm sure your legs are tired.
Bill, if you got something.
What's your suggestion going forward, Justin?
Well, I mean, look, I would not have any problem working with you on putting something together and reaching out to the residents and asking them if they wanted to do it. I mean, if there's a demand for it and everybody understands what they want to do and the residents that they want it, my job isn't to decide what you want or what your neighbor wants, right? It's to help facilitate that. There are going to be people that aren't going to like it. There are going to be people that want it. So, but I represent both of you, so.
Tap-in fee would be a problem, but I think $40,000 or $50,000 assessed to each person thing, nobody's gonna buy that. I'm saying, is there a way that the township would be willing to work on some way with the tax or levy or something?
The hard part there is you're doing the same, like, everybody that's got water now paid for it in one way or another, right? Like, I have a house in one of the developments, and the developer came in and put the water line in and paid for it, and then he put it into what he, billed for the property. So we could put a tax levy, we could figure out, these are where we wanna run the lines, and we could look at putting an issue on the ballot for the entire township to pay for it. Now, again, just being pragmatic, what are the odds that the township as a whole wants to pay for your water line?
Well, I'm not just saying Balish, I'm saying all residents, my whole fight.
Yeah.
This has been, not just for Balish Road, for all residents of the township that don't have fire hydrants. I'm not looking at this as just going at Balish
Sure.
or Deerview. All of it as a project, then it would be a more taxable thing, because even though, like you say, the people that do have fire hydrants right now, okay, I'm still paying the same tax levy as you that get
Yep.
the benefit of that service, okay? Even though you said you paid for it when you bought your house and that, I'm still as a tax levy resident with no benefits.
Right.
And paying the same amount as you for you to get that extra benefit. So it has to come back to the people who don't have water hydrants. When we do the levy, it all balances out. But if we did it as a whole township, levy type thing for all, and make it a big project.
We could absolutely look at a big project. There will be some issues with water lines, because there are some areas, I would have never known.
Cancer,
Well,
yeah.
look, how many people knew that the Continental Divide runs right through Lafayette Township? Well, okay, so, right, but I know why you know, and same with the fire personnel, but until you look at something like this, and then you have the watersheds, so there are certain areas that we're gonna probably have a tough time being able to run water anyway, but that doesn't mean we can't look at the project.
Correct.
And I can absolutely look at doing something like that, run some numbers, and the board can absolutely discuss it, but, there are definitely challenges. I just wanted to make sure you knew, though, that your comments didn't go unheard when you've come in and asked us to look at it and to provide you with the avenues
I appreciate
to
that.
be able to do something. But, we can definitely have further discussions on it, absolutely.
All right, Lieutenant, how about something?
I don't have anything in addition to the.
No, you forgot it all, didn't you? See how that happens? All right, zoning.
Well, everybody got the report, so we don't need to go over that part of it.
Yep.
At the special meeting, I handed you guys both a copy.
Yeah.
We've had some back and forth in the past, just on whether or not, some confusion over what's been recorded as the zoning resolution. Let's start with that. I gave you guys both a printout. Karen Schoonover, our zoning secretary, started with what was recorded at the county recorder's office, the last thing that was filed. That is not necessarily the exact current code, but it was the last thing that was filed with the county recorder. As long as zoning code regulations are passed through the proper procedure, even if they aren't recorded, they are the legal document that are done. So Karen spent probably the better part of 3-4 months working on going through trustee meeting minutes, zoning commission meeting minutes, verifying what has and has not been taken in and out of the book, and that's what I gave you guys all a copy of. That is ultimately what we are working with, but I thought it would be a good idea if we all just kind of made a motion to affirm that this is in fact the zoning code, because there's been some talk out there that like, oh, we don't even know what the code is. Well, we do know what the code is. Jerry's been, operating off of what our code is, but I thought it'd be a good idea if we just all, so I guess I would make a motion to accept this as the zoning resolution. You guys
I want to discuss first, but
Okay.
but thanks for that. Karen, thank you so much. That was huge project. I do have 3 marks in the book that I wanted to just bring out. You guys know zoning way better than I do. The Chippewa, section 308.
308,
Chippewa Resort Overlay. This section, and it's in red, this section may need to be officially removed as Medina County Park District owns it now. Is this the time right now that we pull it out?
No, procedurally we can't, because there's
A process.
Okay.
a process to make amendments and
Okay.
changes to the code, but that was Karen's way of identifying that, it's,
Yep.
yeah, it's a section of the code that applies to a piece of property that the parks don't have to adhere to zoning, so it's moot.
Yep. Okay, and then section 806, G and H talks about the footer certs.
Yes.
Okay. Read past minutes, we know why they were put in there, and it's written totally fine. However, is every builder gonna be treated the same?
Yes and no.
Well, I mean,
Have they
Well-
or will they?
The way that, the way the zoning code, how do I want to put this? The only person in the township that interprets the code is the zoning inspector. We approve it, zoning commission helps write it, we have a process there, but it's her job to interpret it. So at the end of the day, Sherry interprets it the way she feels fit. In reading through the minutes, I think you guys have seen, that particular requirement was put in because of one builder, because of the PUDs, and the developments where it becomes a little bit bigger issue. They're building right on their setbacks everywhere. We actually had 2 homes that had to go through variances after the fact. The one actually was built and transferred to the owner without even complying with the setback requirements. So those were put in place to do that. Now, I think where you're going with it is, that is something that we can do on a simple resolution, because that falls into like the fees and requirements piece. We can cut that out completely, because again, the developments are pretty much all done at this point.
No, for now, let's just say
Well,
for
true.
now, right?
But realistically, as far as your typical large lot builds, nobody else does these. I don't feel that it's necessary. It's just an extra $400 on the cost of building a home. I know why we did it in the developments, and I do think it was the prudent process there, but I don't think, if the question is, should we be applying it to everybody in the entire township, I don't
Then
think
can we,
that's
and trust me, I'm totally with you there. In the resolution, the previous administration did, it reads good.
Right.
But it doesn't signal out PUDs in the resolution.
Correct,
It's more general.
correct.
So do we just add PUD, or does everybody get, yeah, just trying to
Yeah.
make things more perfect.
Yeah, no, I mean, we can clarify it, or we can remove it. Or we can leave it as is, and ultimately, you know, like I said, I mean, it's still within the zoning inspector's prerogative to interpret it the way that she wants to, and I think between the minutes and the code, I think she's got a solid basis for continuing to do it just in the developments, but your point is good, like, as far as,
Chris, what's your
I have a
thoughts?
hard time, I'm not even saying it's arbitrary, it's obvious, the reason this was done was
Right.
because of the ponds. But it's still, it just doesn't seem fair to charge some people the fire inspection and not others. If there's a way that we could make it easy, like if you go to a large lot and you're obviously within the setbacks, or you're good.
well, that's the other piece that we had discussed with the zoning commission as well, was do we want to put something where if you're building within a certain percentage of the setback?
Yeah.
You know, look, if your setback's 85 feet and you're building 200 feet off the road, who cares? You're not, if you miss by that much, you got bigger problems.
Right.
But, I mean, we could do language like that. We could absolutely revise that section. I know the zoning commission's talked about, you know, potentially making recommendations on it as well. So, I mean, we could always kick it back to them and ask them to make a recommendation to us on language to address that piece of it, absolutely.
That would be my biggest, I'm sorry, Chris, go
No,
ahead.
I think that would be absolutely.
So
the right way
we'll
to go.
have, got it? All right, they're here tonight, so,
intent.
okay. So you
As
said
far
you-
as that goes, then I'm good, yeah. I
Did you
mean,
have a third one, or those were the two?
No,
Those are the two?
yeah, no, just the 806 G and H.
Oh, okay,
for
gotcha,
the
those were the
clarity.
two.
Yeah, that was
Sorry.
it. Then they're working on the other one, and that's fine. So, yeah, I'm good.
I will make the motion to,
I already did that, yeah,
I'll second it, affirm.
Well, then, what the heck? All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Okay.
You want to do the fees right now then,
Yep.
Justin, too?
You got those?
Yeah, I have some comments as well. but
Okay.
Go ahead.
Well, I just have a resolution, just like we did last year, for updating the, amending and enacting the zoning certificate fees and services schedule pursuant to section 807 of the Lafayette Township zoning resolution to be effective April 1st, 2025, according to Exhibit A, which I circulated to you guys. If we need to make any adjustments to those, we can definitely do that before approving those. I believe you both have a copy of the proposed fees and the last year or the current fees. Again, Sharon, Sherry, and Karen, combined you guys all the time, worked diligently to review our fees, kind of where there were some gaps, things that maybe didn't come up a bunch in the past that needed to add. For example, the zoning code treats ponds as structures, but there was no set fee for a permit for a pond. So were you just left to treat it as a fee, just like if somebody was building a house? So the recommendation was to add a fee just for that, as an example. And then some of the fees were tweaked a little bit because they were out of line, either maybe too high or too low.
Chris?
What was the one that she wanted to go to 450 on?
We talked about 450 potentially on the variance. Variances are very tough to figure the exact cost to the township because
Right.
the meeting, we know what the meeting cost is gonna be, but they may hear two variances at a meeting.
Right.
You know, or they may only hear one variance and then have to hold a second meeting where there isn't a variance to approve the minutes. So,
Right.
you know, the costs can vary heavily to the township for processing a variance. So you kind of try to find a midpoint. We're kind of in that sweet spot. There are townships that charge lesser, townships that charge significantly more. And I know, did you guys ever come, I think on the actual proposal for variances, we actually did put it at 450, so.
For
Which,
residential, right?
yeah, commercial would be 600.
Okay, so my question, don't mean to interrupt you, Chris, but I was right on there too. My notes show, what's the difference because it's not,
Right now, the variance is $400 for all variances. Or I'm sorry, 500 for commercial.
yeah,
So
that's
400,
why I'm looking
500.
at 400 residential, 500 for
Right,
commercial.
that's the current, and then it would go to 450 and 6.
Okay, so why 6 though? Why the bigger jump for commercial? Is it that much more work?
Well, that's just the recommendation from, like I said, Karen, would you like to speak to that?
I think that Sherry just had gone ahead and looked at various townships and felt that that would be a good number of times.
Okay.
And ultimately, I think the other piece of it too, just my take on it is, the commercial code, there's just a lot more that goes into the site plan and the original build, that the need for variances on the commercial just shouldn't be there as much.
And if there is one, it may be more apt to go into a second meeting.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. They are definitely more likely to cause us additional meetings or potentially have to bring somebody in. The BZA does at times need to bring in, an expert for opinion or guidance, or bring Bill in, for legal as
Right.
well. So, I think that's the kind of the main reason for it.
Yeah, I've talked to Karen and Sherry both. I've compared them to the old ones. I've got no issues with any of these proposals.
Motion?
Motion to approve resolution 8025.
That is our 8.
Or, yeah, this will be 8/2025.
Okay. I'll second.
Need
Sorry
a roll
about
call
that.
vote, yeah.
Sorry about that, Justin. What was the resolution number?
8/2025.
Okay. All those in favor, aye?
I need you to roll.
Oh, I'm
on
sorry,
those,
roll
yeah.
call, sorry.
Rolling,
call.
yes?
O'Neill, yes?
Fullerton, yes. I was missing the resolution, that's why I don't have that, but that's okay.
Here.
Okay,
And then that's exhibit A with it.
Oh. Effective March 1st, so today is March
April
3rd.
1st. I redid the resolution. It says
Oh.
April 1st on it.
Okay, yep, just make sure we got a date on it.
Yeah.
Okay, stamped, okay, that's good. All right, that's fees, okay, Hunter Drive is
Yep.
next.
We just, we've obviously given him notice. We've had the public hearing. He didn't show. We're in the process of making sure that all the lien holders for the vehicles are done. Then we just need to decide, we will have to get a salvage dealer involved to handle the transfer of the vehicles that are on the property. It's gonna be a little bit more involved than, the Pulker Road cleanup. But really, we just need to decide as a board if we're gonna move forward with doing a forced cleanup. I don't know if you guys have had a chance to drive by there, but it's getting worse by the day.
Are we waiting on the prosecutor's office for anything?
Not really.
Yes,
Well,
yes, we are.
we're waiting for the prosecutor's office because of notification timeframes.
Right.
Once everybody's been served proper notification, there's no other procedural step for us to take other than we're gonna have to foot the bill for the cleanup. Now, the nice thing is, the salvage dealer is going to take possession of everything on the property. So there'll be some offset with scrap and whatnot, but they'll obviously have labor costs and stuff like that too. So that bill will come to us and we'll have to assess the property owner as well, but, I'm just I think I know where everybody's at with this, but, I have no problem starting the process of getting everything in place to do it, but I don't wanna do that unless you're both on board with the fact that we're gonna probably have to clean this one up.
Yeah, I think it's even more bigger of an issue because I've already gotten calls that they're burning late at night and
Well,
it stinks and it's burning your eyes.
Chief, you guys have
and
been out there a
wherever-
couple of times.
I can give you the whole lowdown on it, but my wife wrote the letter last week for those, or a couple weeks ago, for those who here to see it. I've been tortured by this guy for 5 years now. Now he's putting stuff under pine trees that are mine and stacking it up in pine needles, and it's wood. So I don't know what his end game is. I sort of think that he very possibly might want to burn down the whole neighborhood. But he's crazy enough to do it. He's a known meth head. And he doesn't have any job to speak of. He sits around the house all day, but he's got money for everything in the world. And I backed up he was putting stuff in my yard the other day, and I backed my truck up into my yard because I turned around. And I said, you know, I've had about enough of you. That's all I said. He called the police on me. All right? And this guy is a baby. He won't confront me. He might be a big guy, but believe me, I've got a lot of hate for him. That's not what this is about. This is about the whole neighborhood. This is about me breathing, burning plastic at night, the smell of it in my house.
Well, then
in
you
my
need to
garage.
call, don't just call the fire department, call 911,
Yeah,
go
I'm
through
gonna start
the
doing that every
proper,
time I
and then
talk
I
to
know,
the chief.
Chief, I don't know if you.
Right, this is they've sent a second notice to the homeowners, Akron Air Quality, which is the EPA essentially.
Okay.
So they've set a second notice probably with fines attached to it, so that's probably not gonna get them stopped,
Right.
but, that's where we're at with it, so.
And Lieutenant, any suggestions for him, you know, with the stuff getting thrown on his yard from his neighbors or anything? And you got,
Contact us when it's happening.
Right, I mean, you need to contact the sheriff's office or the Medina County, or Medina City Police Department as soon as that happens. and
Yeah.
We will have a fire response and a police response.
I've alerted some of the other neighbors too, if they see anything over there, you know, if he could clean this place up. I've been complaining about it now for 4 years. My wife's got high blood pressure from the banging against the side of my house in the middle of the night while he's throwing the lawnmowers. Who in their right mind at 1 o'clock in the morning is throwing lawnmowers against a fence that's attached to my house? You know what? People like that usually get shot. But, I mean, I've had a lot of,
no, we're not
I've had a
gonna go
lot
there.
of, I've had a lot of patience through all this, so I'm really hoping it all works
Yeah,
out.
okay, well, that's good.
And this gentleman's not the only neighbor that's
Right.
had
Right,
issues. I mean,
right,
it's
right,
not
right.
fair.
No, I appreciate your input, absolutely correct.
But I guess, I just wanna make sure that, you
Yeah.
know, are you guys good with me kinda taking point on trying to move this
Absolutely.
forward so we can get the
Absolutely.
cleanup done?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, let's get her done. Let's get her done.
One last thing, if I can. He has buildings attached to his house that are made of metal attached to my fence on my side of the house. Can those be removed? I mean, I'd really like some space between my home and his. It's literally touching my fence. He's built things off of my fence.
This would potentially be a zoning violation, so we can take a look at that.
Cool, I
Absolutely.
really
I'll have
appreciate
Sherry-
that, and that's all I have to say. I appreciate all the work y'all have been doing on it.
Thank you.
All right, Technology Park,
Just they are presenting.
Yes,
Okay, so we do have a new owner for the 19 acres. Just wanted to make sure everybody is aware they will be coming to the zoning commission meeting on
Next Tuesday, right?
yeah.
the 13th. So on the 13th, they will be here. So anybody in
the 11th.
It's the 11th.
The 11th.
11.
Set me up for that. On the 11th, right here, 6:30, they will be presenting what they intend to do with the parcel. So anybody that's interested, you know, we've had some complaints in the past that the process, you know, people feel like they're left out of the process. So I just want to make sure that everybody's aware that the zoning commission will be hearing that. So anybody that wants to be able to come in, see what they're doing, and express their opinions one way or another, that's the time to do it. And we'll go from there.
All right, good.
What are they planning on doing with the 19 acres?
No, we're not getting
No,
into
no,
that.
we can't do that.
They haven't put anything formal in front of anybody yet. They've talked about some different plans. That's what the meeting on the 11th will be for, is for them to present what they want to do, and then for the zoning commission to review it, see how it fits within, you know,
Okay.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
I didn't know that was a bad question.
Not a bad question, just
No.
one I can't give you
Yeah.
a good answer to right now.
Right. All right, so what's next is public comments. We've had quite a bit today, but they were specific to the chief and specific to Hunter Drive, so, for that,
Yes.
that's okay. So, public comment, who's first?
Can you go to the,
Should they be going up
Yeah,
there?
yeah,
and-
we're gonna
If
go
you
up to the
can.
podium.
Just
Karen,
state
did you
your
have
name.
something?
I do.
Yep, public comment, sure, thanks.
So I'm Karen Schoonover, and I'm the zoning secretary, and I just wanted to say, when we were talking about the water in the township, for all the township, you have to realize, what that will do for people who own large parcels of land, those will be prime areas to purchase and develop once they have water and sewer. So a lot of things that people like about Lafayette is supposedly the rural area, which means different things to many different people. But, you know, in getting water out here to areas that don't already have it, you need to be aware that is one of the risks that you run as a community. That's all I gotta say.
Thanks, Karen.
Thank you, Karen.
Thank you. Who's next? Public participation. Just your name at the podium for the record.
My name's Barb. Where Ryan Road and 162 meet, if you go east towards Route 3, where does the township end?
The sign. There's a sign. It's,
There's maybe 2 or 3
Three houses.
parcels on the houses on the north side.
pretty much up to,
And then it
there's
becomes
the,
Montville?
and then on the other side, you have the field, and then the tree line is
So
basically
it's
about where
just
it's at.
goes just a little bit past
Yeah,
Ryan's.
just a little bit.
You know, they're building 255 houses
Where?
off of Route 3,
Yeah.
and they're supposed to put another street coming into 162. I just, it's going in,
I did not.
That's Montville Township though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
but it kind of
Where did they
affects-
put, where did they put the road? Because I know for a while there, they've been talking about running a connector through Bennington Point.
No, we close that
Yeah.
off.
Well, no, I know, but I'm just saying like that was originally, but it's gotta be
Right.
that same development. I don't know that they could, I don't know they could get through to 162.
No, I think they're coming in from the city on one of those little roads.
Where the Redwood
Well, the
Apartments.
road-
And then
Road's
Route 3.
The
I'll look
road's
into
not
it.
there yet. The development's going behind the antique store
Yeah.
there.
Mm-hmm.
And then, the developer said they needed 2
Yeah,
ways to
'cause of
get
the
out of
volumes.
the development, so one road was gonna come out as,
They might be connecting into that, they couldn't come down that far. Okay, yeah. All right, I'll look into it.
yeah. And
See if I
I'm
can
glad
find it
about
for
the
you.
stop sign.
Yeah, me too.
Thanks, Barb. Anybody else? Public comments?
Melanie King. Last month you referred to a gentleman in the audience who was talking about zoning meeting. Is this the same one that's gonna be on 11?
Yeah.
Is that the same? Okay.
Yep.
I think it
Yes.
was Chase, wasn't it?
Yeah,
He was-
Chase.
He's on
Yeah.
the zoning commission.
Yeah, Chase is on the zoning commission.
Okay, anybody else? If you could take the podium. State your name for the record.
I'm actually Tim Kaczynski. I'm under the correspondence, but I figured since I'm here in person,
Yes, thank
might as
you.
well stand up.
Forcing the segue into correspondence. Right?
Okay.
Keep things moving along. I'm a volunteer with the Medina County 4-H Train Club, and we've been using your guys' town hall for our meetings on the 4th Sunday of each month, and I'd like to thank you guys for allowing us to do that. I know it's a perfect spot for us, the way the setup is, and your renovations are great. We appreciate everything you guys are doing. One of the things we found out this year is that the meeting structure times have changed. And I guess you can rent the hall in the mornings and evenings now. So it's the morning up until 3, and then from 4 PM until evening time. And previously, we've always used the town hall from 1:30 to 6 PM. And the way our meeting structures work is we get there, we have a 1-hour business meeting, very similar to this, and then we break out into one-on-one instruction with the kids to work on their projects for the fair. And the times we've had to change since the new structure with the township is starting our meeting at 12, and we have to be out of there by 3, which cuts down on a lot of that. And a couple of the families have notified us that they would have to drop out of the club unless we find a new location or do something different with the time because of church or previous obligations. And I know I've had 2 kids in the club now for 5 or 6 years, and it's same time that we've had for the 5 or 6 years. And it's my understanding it's been like that for, I want to say decades, since the club's been around. And I was wondering if there's anything the township could do to work with us, whereas if no one has that evening time reserved, if we'd be able to go back to our old time structure, if no one has it reserved, or if we can maybe use it up until the 4 PM
The,
start time for the next one.
the issue is ultimately that we allow a X number of rentals for nonprofits, without charging them.
Right,
But then it was always just based on a day.
right.
And then we split to the 2 time slots, which I think we all, I'm good with why we did that.
Right.
But the unintended consequences, we didn't up that number. So now, you know, I guess the easy fix is, do we just want to double the amount of reservations that nonprofits can make, since we made them half-day reservations versus full-day reservations? I mean, that would ultimately solve the
It's the
problem.
quick way around it, right? I mean, but
As long as they're in the same,
same day, same consecutive rental period.
Yeah, we could do that. I mean, yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
I guess.
trying to think, would there be any unintended consequences to
Well,
that? you know?
just do it as, you know, you'll, well, the unintended consequences is you now potentially, what is the number that we get, sorry,
The number we get for what?
before we charge nonprofits, we let them have how many without charging them?
1 a month.
1 a
They're
month?
supposed to get, well, they've got 1
Because you guys
time
meet
slot
once a month, right?
We meet
And,
once a month.
I mean, and the reason for, so you guys didn't want to, it was trying to keep the cost down on residents.
Sure.
And most parties were either in the morning or the afternoon. So, and I know there is getting pushback from 4-H clubs and such with the new policies, but people are reserving, the town hall was just redone. So new floors, new walls, new everything. So keeping in line with, we are still the low of the low of what we are charging. Obviously, we're not charging the 4-H groups, but, so to keep in line with everybody else, we are having bookings a year in advance already. So things like that where we have to take deposits and we have to cash those checks because then they'll go bad. Like if you don't have do you understand what I'm saying? So like, and in terms with the times, to keep the rate at what it was for the residents, they were trying to say, what can we do to not do a whole day rental, but keep does that make sense? To keep it the low price, keep the same price, but do something where we're not, as the township, losing money on the rentals.
I think the only way that I can think of to do it is for nonprofits, is allow them to have
Both time slots on a day.
in a day and consider it one rental.
Yeah, I think so, because, I mean, and you gotta balance it, right? Like, as far as I'm concerned, you know, the town hall, you know, you thank us for the improvements, but I mean, we thank you, you know, the residents are paid for that. You know, we made the
Right.
decision to do the improvements, but the taxpayers pay for them, and so utilizing that building in that way, I mean, if 4-H groups and the youth groups and that, if they want to rent it every day, all year, then I say that's a great use of that building.
agree.
I mean, who cares that we could rent it out to, you know, weddings and parties? I mean, it's great that we make it available to the residents, but that's why you have a town hall, in my opinion. So anything we can do to help facilitate those organizations doing them, I think we should do. I mean, you know, I don't think it's too much to say.
And I would just say for my standpoint is, that's totally fine, just make it the same for all, like,
Yeah.
all of the nonprofits.
The
you know, just
nonprofits
so
can have one
I'm not like,
day.
okay, 4-H is
Yeah.
this and
No,
No, it'd be
you know,
any
yeah.
nonprofit.
Any nonprofit that wants it, I mean, we'll obviously ask them if they only need it for the one-time slot, please only take the one-time slot, but if they need it for the full day, like in this particular case, I think we should absolutely allow them to do it. I mean, it's tough enough to get kids out doing activities and other things other than being stuck in front of screens and stuff like that, you know? So I would make a motion to change the rental policy for nonprofits to allow them to have 1 day a month versus 1 time slot a month.
can you be more specific on the day, the 2 consecutive halves, right?
On the same day,
So
it's
they don't
gotta be
have
the
a-
same day.
Same day,
So it's just
okay.
a day, they have 1 day with no time restriction.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
I will
That makes-
second.
Okay.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thanks, Tim.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Public? Okay, correspondence.
He stole it.
I swear there was one on there.
No,
Okay.
that was it.
Yeah. All right, unresolved business employee handbook.
I threw that on there just because I know we've talked about it, been talking about it for a while, and I just kind of wanted to see, one, revisit kind of what your thoughts were as far as, if you had anything further on specific changes that you wanted to see made, where we needed to go with it.
I would like to dig into the whole book, but I would ask for someone to take the lead on it, other than myself. And Chris, I don't know, Justin's got a couple of leads.
I would do that. We started talking about vacation time versus sick time a while back. Why don't we do this? Next meeting, we can discuss that and maybe come with, each of us have ideas or whatever, we'll discuss and see if we can come to a conclusion on that. And then we get a copy from Laura of the current handbook so that we're all working from the same one.
Right.
And maybe we can work through it a little bit at a time. I'll keep notes or whatever, and we can get it updated.
Yeah, no, I'm good with that. I know it had been something we've been talking about for a while.
Right, for sure.
There was one section, as I kind of reviewed through it again, that felt kind of pertinent because of some of the things that we're dealing with as far as insurance renewal coming up and everything. Article 8 is the section that discusses benefits, personal insurance. I would like to make a motion to amend the Lafayette Township Employee Handbook, Article 8, Section 1, by inserting the following paragraph after the first paragraph of the policy as adopted November 11th, 2013. And the paragraph reads, "Any employee and/or dependent wishing to participate in the township healthcare plan will be required to complete Form FIRE, required for the township to properly shop the marketplace for competitive healthcare plans." And if you guys want, here's a copy of the policy as it's currently written. That's directly out of the handbook. It's currently section 8.1, which discusses that, that we may make healthcare benefits available. But in speaking both with our current insurance provider and with other brokers, that I think you guys have both talked with Scott from GEK, by not requiring Form FIRE, it limits the number of providers that we can get quotes from. That may or may not be better than what we're currently getting, but given the cost of health insurance and how big of a section of our budget is, I think it's a disservice to the taxpayers who are funding it if we're not doing everything we can to maximize our chances of getting the best rates possible.
Yeah, and I didn't realize this. We have done Form FIRE.
We have done it in the past, yeah.
And so, and I don't know if that's something that needs to be redone every year or not. In one of my conversations with one of the brokers, he said all you have to do is, I don't know exactly how it goes, if you transfer it to him, allow him to utilize it, I don't know. I don't know what impact that might have on our current broker, but, yeah. We talked about it last
Yeah.
meeting. It's sensitive information, but it is it does increase competition, or that's supposedly what it's
Right.
supposed to do.
My question is, I'm kind of missing something here, because if you want to insert that, the date that the updated book is approved is when then this amendment would be approved too, or?
No, I'm just saying that the policy that's on file in the office is the handbook approved
Yeah.
on November 11th, 2013. So that's the one we're
Yeah.
amending. Currently that section, Section 8, Article 8, Section 1 is a 2-paragraph section. This paragraph that I'm proposing would fall in the middle of that.
Mhm. Okay.
Yeah, I did speak with the service department, which are the employees that do have full-time coverage, and they are okay with Form FIRE.
Motion for that amendment?
I made the motion.
Second.
I'll second.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. All right, we're done with that part, right? Bicentennial picnic. Kristen?
Yes.
Kristen been talking to me about, I'll start, Kristen, then you can just elaborate. The bicentennial celebration, she had reached out to Gridiron, just to get some food options, and then they would come, to the town hall, but I think, the date that made more sense was July 19th, for that. What else did you want to add?
Yeah, I think that date would be a little bit better, for them and for us. So I think you guys had already approved and appropriated, money for all the events. I think this one, being the bicentennial, probably our biggest event, hopefully of the year, I want to spend, a lot. We didn't really put money on each one, like how much for Halloween, which is kind of good, because then I can kind of pull from the other events to spend more on this one, which is what I'd like to do.
So
Not that it would take away from the other ones, we already have all of that.
So just talk about some of the expenses, just to let the other trustees know what Gridiron was thinking and how many people and.
It just depends. So what my issue is with that is, told up you guys, what do you want to do? Do we want to, because I had found some old posters in the admin building, like of a buffalo roast they used to do, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that might be so fun to bring something like that back for the bicentennial celebration. And this Gridiron Cookery, he's in Township, he's a super nice guy, they've been doing it for like 35 years. But the prices obviously go up the more people you have. So if we do it this way, do we want to take pre-registrations? Do you want it to just, the township pays and it's free for everybody? Or do we want to have people register and get wristbands for their meals, and pay some, township pay some? That's totally for what you guys want to decide. There's the menu and stuff like that, but that's not as important. But the thing is if we wanted to do this, as our food portion, I want to get him booked, because they already have a couple events on that day, but they could still put us in.
Thoughts?
I don't think I'm ready to vote on one entity right now.
Yeah, that's-
for it. I'm not against Gridiron,
Right.
happy to explore it more, but I don't.
Yeah,
We have
we
no
could
cost
look,
or
I was
anything.
just researching.
Any other ideas you want her to explore, though, for the next
You
meeting?
talked about maybe food trucks.
Yeah, we could do food trucks. The only thing with food trucks is usually they
Want a
make you
minimum commitment, yeah.
guarantee
Well, that's what I
a
was asking,
certain amount.
does Gridiron have anything of that setup, or he's willing to just roll the dice
No,
on who shows
the
up?
4 groups, the lowest number is 50 people.
Okay. I'm sure we'll get that.
Yeah, so,
Chris can get that many there, right?
We put you in a dump tank.
yes, and for even for 100 people,
Imagine
for
wow.
what he would charge, say 100 people is like, for a pig roast is $10 a head, and then you add a couple more things, say $15 a person for 100 people. And like, say a food truck, I was looking at one of the food trucks, you have to guarantee $1,600. And you're like, yeah, and so that's like, okay, you have to guarantee $1,600, but what if they don't make that? Do you just have to give them the rest and there's
Right.
no food?
Yes.
Yeah, so you have to give them the rest and you don't get food. Here, the food's there, we could pack it up and take it to wherever, you know what I mean? You're actually
Yeah.
getting the food.
That's a good point, Kristen.
And I think we'd have if we did say like a pre-registration kind of thing, there, and we get at least 50.
Yeah.
That's probably the way we should lean, I think.
I mean, I can, if you guys wanna do like, you know, where you get the 3 quotes or whatever, I can look around and do other
I don't
stuff.
think we're not expending funds
No.
for this, so I don't think we need to do the 3 quote thing. And I do like the idea of trying to put something together for the summer. I mean, those are the types of things, you know, yeah, I just,
Mm.
But you did say July 19th is the odds on.
Yeah, he had that date that we could book.
But the longer her
Yeah,
concern,
right.
If we
Kristen's
wait,
concerns
we
were,
lose
we keep
dates.
waiting, we're gonna lose that date too, and then what are we doing?
Right.
I'm fine with, I mean, you're gonna pick the wrong weekend in the summer.
Summer.
Somebody's gonna be on vacation and gonna be out and you're not gonna, you know, as long as I'm fine with that. Is that what we're trying to do, is pick a date to do this?
Well, yeah, but then kind of secure gridiron,
I'm
because
fine with
by the sounds of it, the food truck, that's
Yeah.
only one truck.
I mean,
No, I don't wanna play the game of trying to pick a food truck.
I know, that's-
And-
Yeah,
And it's not gonna
because that's
be
only
big
one
enough to
truck.
have multiple out, and then you're playing the whole game of having to, yeah.
Correct.
Yeah,
And I like the idea of finding a vendor in the township,
Yeah.
you know.
yeah. Yeah, he lives right off Lake Road or something, he said. He said he used to go to the Buffalo Road, so that was.
Good, that's awesome. Awesome.
Yeah, but other than the food, we were planning like just a kind of normal fellowship picnic with, cornhole. I was gonna try and see, what's your take on maybe telling the youth baseball that we have the lot that day? But usually in the summer, there's Little League games, but maybe we say it's the big bicentennial celebration.
I don't see an issue with pulling one day. We've never pulled a day from them, and
I'll
they've
get
been
with
very
Rick.
grateful.
I'll get with Rick and we'll contact you.
Okay.
Let's see what their
Baseball
schedule's
league.
like, cause depending. you
I
know.
would assume they might not even have a schedule yet.
Well, I was gonna say
They gotta put it together soon.
but
Yeah, I would
if they
assume
don't,
they're in the
let's get in front of
works.
that, if we're gonna take a day from them.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, sidewalk chalk, bubbles for the kids, wiffle ball, kickball,
Yeah.
volleyball setup,
Yeah.
that kind of.
We'll follow up with Chris then the next couple of days.
Okay.
Rick's off sick, I guess, but hopefully they can communicate fairly quickly to.
Is Gridiron going to need a deposit?
Yes, he said he'd work with me though, he said like $200 since it's. Usually it's like 30%, but he said he'll work with it. And the youth, child pricing is half price, he said. So,
Anything else for Kristen? Kristen, anything else?
I don't think so.
Good.
Oh, we do have, in April will be the Meet the Bunny pictures. So that's a total free event, pictures with the bunny and real bunnies in here,
This room,
this room.
during the same time slots as the breakfast?
Yes, but we're not, it's the same time, but we're not with the breakfast. So,
Okay.
I didn't wanna confuse people, like, do we have to pay to get the pictures with the breakfast? And they're like, no, just come get your pictures.
Yeah. All right, good,
Bring
thanks.
your own phone.
So
Thanks,
I
Kristen.
will move to reserve July 19th for the bicentennial celebration picnic, and to approve up to $200 as a deposit for Gridiron.
I'll second.
Cool. With gridiron, sorry, yeah. And we got a second. All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye?
Aye. You got it, Kristen. Stay on Chris and Rick.
Oh, can I say one more thing? Our newsletter will be going out soon, So we have, I think I have one more page that I have available if anybody is interested in advertisement opportunities. There's different price ranges for the different size ads. We do have some already, but I'd like to get just a couple more to fill, I mean, if not, I'll fill it up with other information, but those are here. If you have any questions afterwards, you can ask me as well.
I think Joe wants to buy an ad.
Joe, you want to?
I do have a question.
Okay.
Is there gonna be a cleanup day?
There will, yep.
Is it in
Well-
April?
It starts April.
Vouchers,
Yep.
not one day.
Well, yeah,
Not one
vouchers
day.
like we've done in the
It's
past.
For how many days?
April 1st through July 31st.
First,
And you'll come and you'll get your voucher from me. So you'll bring your ID or your identification that you're a township member or resident, and it's one per household.
And we keep a list.
Yeah. And you have to show your ID when you go with your name on there.
even if I'm in the witness protection?
That's right.
All right, on to new business. Thanks, Kristen. New business, town hall damages. As far as I'm concerned, this is a first for me, but we have had one. And talked with Rick, I've talked with Kristen, and they wanted a decision, and I'm like, this is the first time, so I want to bring it up to the trustees first. It was already, the damage was already fixed, there was a hole, I don't know if it was punched or kicked or whatever, but something hit the wall and broke into the drywall, and then there was mud all over the floor. Rick felt that $50 for the charge and to fix the drywall and stuff, which he's already fixed, but I guess my question, two questions to the board. Do we want to charge these people $50? And also, do you want to leave the discretion up to the chair so we don't have to wait for the next meeting, or just talk it out so we can come up with an agreement?
So the total charge for their damage was $50?
Yeah,
Okay, all right. And that's why they have to make that up on their deposit before they can rent again?
right.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think, like many things, I mean, if it's over a certain dollar amount, maybe the board needs to discuss it, but after,
I would say let's just make it, if it exceeds their rental deposit amount, then we could
yeah, that's fine.
discuss it next
Okay.
meeting.
All
Other than
right.
that, I'm good with the.
This was a nonprofit, but with our new policy, they do give us
Right.
a deposit, so we'll just take care of it. $50 is, you guys are all right?
Yeah, and that's
with
And
that?
then, and it'll be the service liaison that is,
Or the chair.
or the chair of the board. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, oh, yeah, either way. Okay,
So I'll contact her and make her aware then.
yep.
Okay.
Do you know, did they refute it, or do they have any?
I haven't even told her, they never told us that it happened, we found it after their event.
We documented it and everything.
And then I was waiting for approval from you guys, cause I didn't wanna step out of line,
Right.
to tell her, hey, we found this damage. I'll probably need the pictures though, to show them as well, so that, and then I'll send her a copy of this.
Okay. All right, that sounds good. All right, just, this is kind of weird too. Okay, well, I've got that. Public record request policy, I put that on there, and this is the policy that we drafted, last summer, I guess. And just the copying and mailing cost. Well, talking with Laura, who's left us for the night, there was a request put in back in January, during the wagon trail mailbox thingy, whatever. They wanted a copy of the entire policy book and handbook, and that was completed. And then she had mailed that person, said, hey, it's complete. You owe $19.20, and then they never picked it up. I guess the question is, and this is a first for me too on this, is do we collect before, or do, I mean, I don't know, do we, I don't, we're not charging for our time, we're just charging for material, so,
Right.
that's just weird, but I figure I'd just bring it up. I mean, you can't think of everything when you're making a policy.
Yeah, I guess the hard part is like, I always assume we have more stuff digitized, because I think, didn't we put in there like, anything that we could put on a thumb drive was like $5? you
If
know,
they
'cause-
requested it, there was a
But at
part
the
in
same
there
time, I
for
guess not
requesting.
everything is
Mm-mm.
digitized. I mean, it can be scanned fairly easily in most cases, but
I don't think it's feasible to collect first unless, you know.
no,
some
because you don't always
massive
know exactly
cost.
what you're gonna, how many pages you're gonna have or anything along those lines. Yeah, I don't know, I think, yeah, it's,
It's just worthy of a discussion. I mean, $19 ain't whatever, but
yeah, because I don't even think you can do, you can't even do anything with like, you can't like, with the rental hall, right? You can say, hey, you know, we're not gonna ever rent it to you. You can't, you can't say we're not gonna give you other public
no,
records.
you can't do that either.
Yeah, I don't know, I'll have to think on that one, because I don't know what the right
Food
solution
for
is to
thought.
that.
Okay, and then mailbox policy, I just wanted to revisit this, because the more I thought about it, and I know I missed February's meeting, and I was gonna bring it up in February. The mailbox that we replaced for
Yep.
that resident on Wagon Trail, and we voted to do a case by case. And I just felt it worthy enough to bring it up for rediscussion. I'm not sure that I like the case by case. I like to just put something in there solid. And I'll think outside the box just for a second. I know we changed as a township back in 2015 to match the county at $35. But that's 10 years ago. Maybe we should raise it. And we honored $78 or whatever before, and we already did that. But would we just raise it to 80 if they,
Well, he and
if
I
they show
discussed
a
that.
receipt
Yeah,
or whatever?
I
Or,
think we keep
Oh.
it the way it is with the county.
Yeah.
We always have the opportunity to take it as a case by
One,
case.
and I was gonna
basis.
say, I think maybe that's the part that got maybe a little bit confusing when we discussed it. It wasn't so much that I wasn't trying to advocate for every single situation to be case by case, but, there are times, this particular case, there was a video camera footage of us, physically knocking it over. The county's, my take on it is the county's policy and like the general policy is like, look, most of the time there's not gonna be anything like that, right? It's gonna be, oh, it snowed, my mailbox fell down, it was definitely the plow. Did it get hit? Was it cast off? Was it just old and falling apart and somebody wants to call in, right? So that's why the policy's, is what it is, where there's no verification. I do think that as a board, though, we should look at incidents where there's a little bit more, right? Like that particular case, they sent in video, and accidents happen. It's not trying to bash any of our guys. I mean, you're out plowing the streets, things like that are gonna happen. But in that particular case, we know for a fact we ran that resident's mailbox over. So, I think it's fair that we make them whole in that case. But, in situations where it's not as black and white, then to have just a general policy of
Yeah.
whatever I think is the appropriate way to do it, because,
Yeah.
yeah, I just wanted to,
In an example, the last one, someone contacted us through, contact us. You responded. Did they ever get their?
I never heard back from him after that,
Because
as
I did
far
go out
as,
with Rick on that one, and it was quite obvious. Rick plows in one direction. You go to look at that mailbox; it's leaning the other direction.
Yeah, and
And there's plowed snow up onto the other side of the driveway, from a private
Right.
person. So it was pretty obviously not.
that were there guys that probably ran it over.
Yeah.
And that's why I get with the whole, I don't think you need to be ridiculously generous with the blanket policy, but we do,
Right.
probably want to look at certain incidents,
Right.
maybe a little bit more detail, that's all.
okay, yep, you guys, yep. .gov migration, what's?
Yeah, I just, we've obviously been talking about this for a while, but I had sent you guys kind of a mock-up of the new design with Civic Plus. We've already approved everything, but they're just looking for us to kind of sign a final website design approval. And, you know, before I sign anything, I'd just like to have you guys take a look at it and see if you get any feedback. If you're cool with it, I'll sign that. That kind of sets it up, and then we can start working on filling everything in as far as how we want, you know, what information we want to put in the website.
Right.
But
Menu items, drop
right,
down.
but the general layout and design is now going to be set. Now, we can always change down the road, but if we make changes going forward to like the design, there might be some, you know, there might be some design fees that go with that.
Yeah, I
on top
agree.
of our normal contract, but.
Sorry, I agreed with Kristen.
Yeah.
I liked everything about it, just that picture was
We
just
made
so
that
damn
change. We
smart. Yeah.
doubled the
So-
size of the logo and took out the redundant wording.
Yeah.
But we should
no.
be able to start getting that live here pretty soon.
We keep moving forward with that, we'll be good.
And since you started, I'm totally fine with you.
Okay.
Working
All right.
with
Good deal.
Civic Plus.
Town hall rental deposit refund policy.
Oh. We talked about that.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean just for the people that,
Did we talk about this, right?
Just for the.
just for the $50?
For the
The
repairs?
damages.
Oh, okay.
But we're gonna have, but this is for now everybody, even if they don't have damages, because of that, like what I was talking before with the $200 that everybody, it has to get cashed now because rentals are coming so far in advance.
Yeah, we can't hold the stale checks,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, we don't wanna hold stale checks. This is for, I've made this today, I will be filling these out for every single rental, so that Laura has their information, where to send the check back, like, not that check, but issue them a check to, who inspected the town hall, if there were damages or not, and then, like, Laura will sign off on it and put the check number from us back to them.
I like this for
Yeah,
us.
I like it. Comments, Justin?
Yeah, I'm perfectly fine with it, absolutely.
All right. Anything else that,
I got one quick thing, real quick. Flora was issued new UAN computers for fiscal officer for fire district and the township side. And the new ones are still relatively new, and they donate them to the entity, so we have those. I would like to make a motion to, and they're wiped like to factory settings right now. I'd like to make the motion to provide one of those to Rick to replace his current computer, and one of them to Kristen to replace her laptop.
yeah,
Yeah, I'll second.
all those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Motion to adjourn.
I will move to pay the warrants and adjourn.
I'll second.
All those in favor, aye.
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 Motion carries, adjourned at 8:23.